But let me say, to start, that I understand why there's negativity here. Rudyard mentioned it. We're very concerned. We're concerned about the world. The architecture isn't working the way it used to. And that architecture, let's face it, was created after World War II by the United States. I know we call it the World Bank. It sounds global. We call it the World Series, too. There is a Canadian team, but we know the truth. There is creative destruction happening in the global environment today, and we don't like that. And if we had a choice, and frankly, if we had a choice as Americans to go back to when all that architecture was functioning well, all that American-made architecture, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we might say that's a more comfortable world. But that's not what we're debating. What we are debating is about whether or not the world we are in now is one that we can feel good about, and where. Where are we going to invest? Where are we going to live? And where do we want to give our kids a chance to make their mark? That's a relative game. And Larry and I bet firmly on North America, and we bet firmly on the States. Why do we do that? Well, where else are you going? I mean, I look at Europe, and there are 17 nations in the Eurozone, and they talk about fiscal unity. That's not the problem in Europe in terms of governance. The problem in Europe is there is no kids' table. 17 countries. When I was a kid, you did not give me sharp utensils because the family pet would have been damaged, right? That's changed recently. But in Europe, you've got Greece, you've got Italy, you've got 17 countries. They all have breakable glassware. That doesn't make sense, but that's going to take years, decades. Paul Krugman just came out and said it's ending not with a bang, but with bunga bunga. I read that piece, and I'm like, wow, well, he wouldn't go to Europe. How about Japan? 17 prime ministers in 22 years. That is a modern-day Asian record if you don't include military coups in Thailand, which I am not want to do. For 50 years, they had a single-party system, the LDP. Suddenly, it's gone. But they don't have public policy schools. The Democratic Party of Japan doesn't know how to govern. That's why they're going through so many prime ministers right now. They don't have connections with the bureaucrats that actually understand policy, nor do they have connections with Japanese industrialists. You're not betting on Japan. How about China? You know what? You guys did that debate already. I saw it. I know how you voted. You're not betting on a Chinese century. You're not betting on a Chinese era. Why? Because it's massively volatile. They've got to move from a state capitalist system to a consumption-led system. They have to not only change their economic system, they have to adapt their political system. Maybe they can do it. 1.3 billion people, never done it before. Maybe. Kick a flyer on that. I'd put 5% of my portfolio. I wouldn't invest in nest egg. That's crazy.